that's what they say about older people, right? It's like at a certain point you stop, you like blink, and then that's a full night's rest.
Oh, that would be nice. That would be really convenient for my lifestyle. Maybe I'll hit my prime. I'm 60.
Yeah.
It's gonna be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, we hope. I don't know if I'm gonna have a prime. Events don't just happen on their own. Behind the scenes, someone is organizing everything, and that someone is the producer. If you've ever wondered how shows get made, this is the show for you. Welcome to the means of producing. I'm so new at this, Bree. I'm so new at this, and I find it really awkward, but I've got to do the thing where I talk to the audience. Hi, hello. Welcome back to the Means of Producing. I am your host, Veronica Diamond. This show is all about producing shows. How do you do it? What do producers do? How do they think? What are they? And with me today is a fantastic guest. I'm really excited. Bree Parsons, everyone.
Hi. I actually love this for you because I feel as if you're my friend that makes the least amount of eye contact with me. So you can just look into the camera instead of making eye contact with me.
I'm the friend with the least amount of eye
Definitely,
contact. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Called out.
In a charming way.
I know that.
In a very charming way. I feel as if, you do the look away. Look away every time.
I look away, and I also sometimes just fully close my eyes.
Do.
I do. I'm like, you know what? It's like looking at the sun. Looking at Bree Parsons is too much. It's too much for a regular person to do. So Bree, who are you?
My name is Bree. I definitely got my start in, actually, Veronica Diamond gave me my very first slot in stand-up comedy at a show she was performing at the time. And I kind of got it from there, but for me, I started with producing. So it was music, pretty much anything I could get my hands on. I've always done like events. So it was a really natural progression from doing comedy into then producing comedy. And now I've kind of done a little flip-flop back towards focusing more on performance, but still I feel as if they go so hand in hand, because even when you're the one performing, you look around and see what needs to come together, and it's the same brain. It's still the same thing that needs to happen to be up there versus to create the space to be up there.
Yeah, I think it's two sides of the same coin, right? If you're producing the show well, then performing it will be easier. If you've got good performance and you've got like a good show, you know that aspect is going to be handled, then it will be easier to produce it. I feel like they're flip side. And in the contrast, if there's like major problems with the production side of it, you might be able to see that in the performance side of it or in the show
Definitely,
side of it.
yeah.
So you started out doing producing. How did you get your start? Like what compelled you?
I feel as if I have no idea to answer that question because I have never had a job interview. I have never known what I'm doing. I feel as if I just talk myself into things. Like I'll sit at a bar and I'll be talking to the bartender or the owner, whoever's there. And then all of a sudden I accidentally committed to being there for, once a week for a month. And it grew so much just based on like connecting and communicating with people. Like I want to see, I have so many talented friends, and I've always wanted to we started with house shows when I was really young. I believe you performed in my living room years and years and years ago.
I didn't.
You didn't specifically? Okay, so I started doing comedy shows in my living room, and it's just because I love to throw parties and I love to entertain. So I was like, okay, how can I amp this up a little? How can I make this special? And from there I was like, oh, we can do this bigger, So then we started being in local bars and taking over restaurants and theaters, and it started so small and beautiful just with my friends. Like, yeah, let's invite 25 people over to watch my friends do their talented thing, and it just kind of grew from there. So
I was in a house visiting a friend, and you were doing a show next door. It was Erica's house, right?
Yes, that was yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you lived next door to Erica at the time, and I remember hearing something going on. I was like, what is happening over there? I think it's incredible that you started out with house shows, because you just I think of you as a real go-getter. Like, you go for things and you get them.
Thank you.
You are the textbook definition of go get her.
Our first stage we created, it was like a tabletop for like a dining room table that we just like propped up and made people, like, not made people, they willingly stood on the table in front of everyone. And we just took there was points where we were like, bring your own chair. So people would come over and bring their own chair, and we would just stick everybody all in a round. So very special and cute.
BYOC.
Yeah, exactly.
Coyote Ugly style a little bit on the tabletop. Yeah, so you were talking about how to make things events. I know that some of the shows that you've done have been the last comic competitions at
Boca at the time.
Boca.
Yeah.
And you've done Cocktail Comedy. That was another show. And you've done a couple of different pop-ups. When I think of a Bree Parsons show, I think about style. So can you speak a little bit to how to make a show? I'm avoiding eye contact with you right now. Now that you've called me out on it, I'm like, okay, I'm not looking at Bree right now, and I'm not looking at the camera either. I'm looking in completely the opposite direction. Sorry. This is how these podcasts have been going. I'm not cutting them together very well.
You're very charming. Don't worry about it.
When I think of Bree Parsons' comedy show, I think of style. I think that it's an event. How do you come up with your style choices for your shows? And what can you speak, I guess, a little bit about that, about your style and how to make an event an event?
Sure. I think this is a lame answer, but I feel like it's my truth. I feel like it started for me with fashion, and I was like, I'd always buy something and be like, man, I'd have nowhere to wear this. Where could I possibly wear this ball gown to? And then I was like, oh, I'll just make something to wear it to. And just making an event unique. I mean, there's so much of everything out there. There's so much comedy, so much music. It's like, how can you get a hook for people to want to come? So Cocktail Comedy, everyone was in formal wear, even though we're in this little lounge downtown. Like, it just creating something that gets people excited to dress up, to go out, to do the thing. It's the hardest thing in the world to get people to go to the event. It's like, it's so much easier to stay home and not go to the event. So what can you do to make it special and get people involved in it? And I think, so that one for me was Cocktail Comedy. The competition was just what was special about that was we were all creating together. So, sometimes I feel a little distant from the community. We don't always work together anymore. It's a solo art. We're just up there together. We keep our head down. We do our time. We go home. That really created this community that we were all writing. We had to create new material all the time, and it was really exciting. Stylistically, with the space of everything, I always find it actually is ever changing, because how I think people are going to interact with the space isn't always how it ends up being. So, the first show, it's going to look totally different than the second show. You go in, you realize, okay, people are pulling their tables a certain way. People are bothered by this certain light. People are, whatever they're doing, how they're interacting with the space, you have to watch that and then change that for next time and make it better for the audience, because, they're going to do what they want with it. People have a lot of authority when they get in there, and they know what they need to have a good time. So just paying attention to that and then making those micro changes to make people comfortable. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're really good at noticing those tiny details about people. You're always like looking at other people in a way that I literally don't, and have just been called out earlier in this podcast for. And I remember being at a restaurant with you, because we're friends. Mm-hmm. We're friends. Spoilers to anybody who's we're friends. I remember being at a restaurant with you one time and talking about people watching, and I don't really people watch because I just don't look at other people. I'm so nervous around other people. I'm worried that if I stare at somebody, they're gonna talk to me.
Okay.
But I feel very good at noticing things about people. Is that something that's always been with you, or is that something you developed over time?
I feel like that's a hard question for me to answer because I don't know any other way. But yes, I think as a result, I think it's been with me always. But it's also kind of taxing. I'm sitting at a dinner with you, someone's uncomfortable 4 tables over, and I'm like, should we check on her? There's not exactly it's not always delightful to be able to kind of take in everything around you all the time. But it is helpful in making deep connections with people, things. I'm not exactly a surface value friend, as soon as I get in, I'm like, okay, and then what happened? And then what did your mother say? How dare she? It's, it's investment into people's emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talking a little bit about that. So I think about, you're very prolific as well. Like, those are some of the shows that you've done, but you've also been on a Just for Laughs Originals album. You were on Miss Totally Tubulous, named after her joke. Big Big get. You were at the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. You were at Vancouver Comedy Festival. You're at Halifax Comedy Festival. Booked and blessed. Bree Parsons. Jet setter worldwide. Mrs. Worldwide. Ms.? No.
Yes, Ms.
Ms. Worldwide. Come for Pitbull's everything. Pitbull. This is definitely getting cut. This is...
No, stop. Just lean in. Let it be weird. You just gotta lean in. This is who you are.
Thank you. Thank you. This is why I started this podcast talking to my friends, because I don't want to do this to strangers. This is so hard for me. Thank you so much, Bree. I was talking about people, and I was talking about how you do so much and you go so many places and you've met so many people. Mm-hmm. How do you get out to things? Like, how do you develop your network?
I feel as if, people always say you get by on who you know, and that is true in almost every industry. But I do feel like being a comedian, you're on the road together with people all the time, often for really long stints of driving together. Like, half of it is just being a good hang. Like, you have to be talented, you have to work hard. But I do think, like, being a hang is 50%. Like, you have to spend so much intimate time with these people. They introduce you to their friends because they like you or they know that you're easy to get along with and be on the road with. It is so much road work I think in every stage of being a comedian. I imagine even at the biggest, most successful comedians still do a lot of road work. There's still a lot of travel and, long stints with the people around you. And so just, being kind and generous and decent to be around, being a bit of a party, I think has like kind of elevated me in ways that I'm very thankful for. But, at the end of the day, it's like I'm just trying to make friends with these people. And then also deciding like what kind of person you want to be to everybody. Like, I definitely, when I first started, I just wanted everyone to like me. I feel like we all kind of struggle with that sometimes. I'm like, oh man, I just desperately want to be liked by all these people. And then I realized, no, actually, you know what? I want to be liked by like that person. And as soon as I started traveling to do comedy, I started watching like, oh, this is what I'm trying to do. I feel like when you are from a small town, everyone is talented, but when you get yourself outside of that and your comedy community goes from, a Newfoundland comedy community to the Canadian comedy community, I started watching people and just being like, no, I want to be surrounded by that, because like you can just tell how hard they're working. I remember the first time I was working with a comedian from Toronto that I really respect named Dakota. She was doing the same set that I was working with her night for night, but it was so different each night based on the crowd. And when I started, it's like you're just trying to get your jokes out. You wrote this joke, you're proud of it, you're just trying to get that one thing out. She was just so malleable in everything she was saying, and I was like, oh, I want to do that, So just trying to surround yourself with the right people and, being decent to hang out with along the road, I think is the way.
Yeah, you're very friendly. You're a very friendly, sociable person, and I think that's really admirable, and I admire that about you a lot. I know that you put a lot of yourself into other people, and sometimes that's a little bit draining. But I think that you are a better person for it. I think that that's the Bree Parsons quality, is like you put a lot of yourself into other people, and I think you get back what you put in. That's not a question. That's just a comment.
Thank
I guess.
You. I appreciate that. I feel like it's a quality that is harder to keep up with as you get older. Like you're trying to reprioritize. Like I used to be a 365 party girl, and now I'm only like a 324 party girl or something. Like I can't keep up with myself and what I want to be doing. So many messages sit unread in my inbox just because I'm. I want to be that person for everyone, but you can't do it all the time, and so you just reach your capacity. And then if you're anything like me, you just nap about it and try to get yourself back on track to be better tomorrow.
I'm definitely becoming more of a nap person.
Love a nap.
I feel like I'm regressing back to
Actually, I love like a midday sleep, like 4 hours, that's not a nap. That's I'm sleeping during the day. So.
Yeah. And when we hit our 60s, we won't have to sleep at all. It'll be that's what they say about older people, right? It's like at a certain point you stop, you like blink, and then that's a full night's rest.
Oh, that would be nice. That'd be really convenient for my lifestyle.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe I'll hit my prime. I'm 60.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, we hope. I don't know if I'm going to have a prime. I don't think I have had one yet, and I feel like looking into the future, it's not looking hot.
I love that for you. You listen, I feel as if we have stages of prime, like there's obviously when we're young and dumb, that's a certain stage of prime for us. Like, there's things that we could do
Prime
and
stupid.
yeah, exactly. Prime stupidity. The things I got away with and did in those years of my life that I would absolutely never do. Like, you grow and then you reach a new level of, okay, now this is my prime. I want to get up every day and drink mint tea and hang out with my dog. That's a new prime, It's,
Yeah. Going back to producing a little bit, do you have any mistakes that you would like to that you've made that you think you would like to warn newer producers away from, or things that you like as a performer that you think that newer producers should keep in mind?
I think paying everybody, like, it's so easy to lean on your friends when they offer to do something for you. But really developing a structure as soon as you begin to be like, we can only do this if we can pay everybody, or just being as transparent as possible about what you can pay everybody is really important. I find myself pulling away from now doing shows that are like, oh, you get so much of like a ticket sale or something. It's like, if you are going to take something on, try to develop a structure where it's like you will get a minimum of this just so nobody gets disappointed or feels undervalued. I think there was some of that in my early career of doing producing where I had the best intentions but I didn't approach that conversation in the best way in the beginning. And you take some of this industry standard things and it's like, okay, for example, a guest spot on a lot of shows, unpaid spot. And then I was like, I don't really like that, so I started paying my guest spot people and just creating, what can you do to create the best environment that people want to work with you then, and so I definitely think those conversations I wish I had with a more experienced person early on.
Money is such a big touchy subject, right? People get so nervous about it. I get nervous about it, and I think it's very common.
Yeah, and I just think even being honest with, like, you work hard as a producer, you have to pay yourself, but be honest with the people and what you're taking as well, like just being transparent with the money situation. I think we could all really benefit from that. Even just talking about what we do make as comics. I think for younger comics that are just getting started, they should know what the buildup looks like, what they should charge for certain things when they're at that level, so that, none of us are undercutting each other in a small town and that kind of stuff. It's just like, you do have to build to charge for comedy in a big way. But, just having those conversations, I just think I wish I had involved myself in that portion of the business earlier.
It's really hard to be that level of vulnerable with others, though. It's really challenging when you're starting out. So I think that that's a great observation. Yeah, for sure. Do you have any future projects or things that people should be looking out for? Anything coming down the Bree Parsons pipeline?
When does this come out?
Probably in a month or two.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually I'm really excited. I'm working towards I'll be filming my first special in October.
Incredible.
I'm
Incredible.
really excited. I get to work with a lot of the people that I met through Just for Laughs and for a production company that I really trust. And I'm really, really excited. I think that I feel in such good hands, and it's such a taxing thing to take on doing a special, especially your first one. And I'm so nervous, but I feel really comfortable with them, and I'm just really excited that they're who I get to do this project with, because I think they're gonna allow me to just focus on what are you going to say? I get to step back from the production a little bit just for this one time and not worry about anything. And I'm just so excited to do this, but I'm also so nervous. I only stopped throwing up before every set like 2 years ago. So this is just going to bring it all back.
I remember those days.
I remember one of our friends and colleagues, Sarah Walsh, when I first started, it was like my fourth set or something. And we were at the Luxus Lounge doing a cocktail comedy. And I kind of like bursted through the door and I threw up in the street. And Sarah Walsh was just having a cigarette outside. She just goes, "You're going to miss that one day." And that is just ingrained in my brain. And then when I got Winnipeg Comedy Festival for the first time, they asked me for like a rider situation. And I was like, I just want a bucket on the side of the stage because I'm so nervous. And they laughed and they eventually realized I wasn't kidding. But that was the first time that I never threw up. I think I was just so invested. It felt so big and grand, and I was just trying to keep up with the motions of what was happening. That was the first time I didn't throw up, and I, very rarely since then. So, but the nerves are back with this project. It feels like the biggest thing I have done to date. It is the biggest thing I've done to date for myself, and it feels different than getting a festival or something where you're there as a part of someone else's project. Like this is going to be mine, and
It's the Bree Parsons show.
yeah, and just it feels so bizarre that that's actually happening. I feel as if up until now, every single thing I've gotten, I'm so grateful for, but this just feels like this big extra step that I never thought was going to be possible. So that's really, really nice.
I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for that show. Everybody should get tickets to see Bree Parsons in October. It'll be a while. It'll be a minute, but closer to when this airs. That's really fantastic, and it's so lovely. I think your story is really interesting, to go from liking comedy and starting your own shows in your living room to producing shows for other people in your city to growing a national and international fan base, group base that you've toured all over Canada at the very least. And then and doing all of these cool shows and cool festivals, and now coming back home and getting your own special. That feels like a really beautiful arc, I think.
Yeah, I feel as if I don't know about you, but there's a point in your life where you have to figure out, are you going to try to be an artist, full time? Are you going to just dive in and actually do this? And I think I've been struggling with that ability to be like, oh, I can work this job and make sure I'm stable and just do this on the side. But when things like this happen, you have to think like, if I was putting my full self, my full energy into this, what could I be creating? So I think those are the kind of questions that when you get to this stage that I'm having to ask myself now, and it's nerve-wracking but exciting.
I think that's fantastic. I'm only just starting to ask myself those questions. I've only just been starting because, much like you, I was there was a little bit of that allure of, I want a stable job, I want a pension, I want to be able to provide for my family, I want to be able to anticipate, future goings on, but also I need to create things and be an artist and make things for other people, for myself, for my friends, for the world. I know it sounds super nerdy.
No, it's such a beautiful, fun, rewarding job. But then again, a watermelon is $16.99 right now. So, it's like you have to pick this lane. But the ability to do art as your full-time job sometimes doesn't seem attainable. But, if you just keep going, eventually you get the illusion that I'm getting the illusion that finally maybe I could if I really put myself into it,
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's about that's all the questions that I had written down. Do you have anything else that you want to share? Do you have any questions for me, Bree?
I do. I think you're obviously doing this with with your friends and colleagues about creating, but you produce your own shows and stuff as well, and put a lot of effort. And I love working on your shows as well. What do you feel like your the efforts that you put into? What do you feel as if the most important thing for producing a show is?
Oh my God, the tables have turned. Oh, how the turntables.
I love working on your shows. I find for me, the biggest thing about working with you is the artists that you choose. I always feel really safe to be loose on your shows. It never feels like, while I always want to show up and do a good job, it kind of also feels like just really safe and cool and fun. Between you and doing Matt Wright's shows, it brings the joy back that, when we all first started and we were friends hanging out together and just, we're contemporaries. It's it brings that old school vibe of us just starting to work together again back for me. So
when I do shows, I'm trying to think about, I want to have a good time, and I always I close my eyes and I envision what it's going to be like at the end of the show, and what I want is for everyone to jump up onto their feet and clap because they've had such a good time, and everybody after the show to just be like, man, that was deadly. And I think, how do I work backwards from that point? What's point A, what's the step one to get to the point of everybody's on their feet laughing and just talking about how good of a time that they've had? And so that's where I start, is at the very end, thinking about, and I want everybody to have a good time, because I think that that's what a show is about. It's especially a comedy show. Like, the whole point of it is to try and make people laugh, and make everybody have a good time, and that includes the audience, and that includes the performers, and that includes the staff. It includes everybody. Everybody's supposed to be having, like, what's the fucking point of life if we're not doing nice things for each other?
Do you remember? So Veronica gave me my very first show and my second show. And on my second show, I was like, I was feeling a little cocky. I felt like I really got this bug immediately when I performed. And they asked me to be a part of one of their professional shows at the LSBU Hall Theater. And I got out, and I was about a minute and a half into my jokes, and I ran off the stage crying. I just feel like and you guys just hugged me, embraced me. You did take a photo of me crying. I
still have that photo.
Which, you took a photo of me crying to be like, I'm going to show you this one day, and you're going to laugh about the fact that you're so nervous about doing this. And so, yeah, just from day one, day two, you have just been such an awesome person to work for. And then you guys let me go out and tell the rest of my jokes. So that was really special for me.
Well, it would have been a bummer if you had just run away.
Yeah, I wouldn't have earned my money. You're right. Yeah.
The whole point of that show was a comedy show for the anxious. So I feel like it was in keeping with the theme. I'm sure there were some people who in the audience who were like, "Oh, that must have been planned, 100%."
And the only time I've ever ran off the stage crying. So you helped me grow.
Yeah, exactly. That's. So I guess to answer your question, that's what I'm thinking of. And I am also a sort of loose, silly little person. And I believe in professionalism from a business perspective, right? You should be professional in your business going-ons and the contracting and the money and talking about things like that. But on stage, it's really, especially for a comedy show, it's just a matter of, can you make people laugh, and can you make as many people in the room laugh as possible? Like, you're trying to make everybody happy. That's I'm a people pleaser is the problem. It's a problem, but it's also good for
like,
this.
You're in the right business. Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Well, thank you so much. That was a fantastic interview. I really appreciate it. You have made me feel less nervous about doing podcasts. Yes. So that was comedian. This is the podcast equivalent of running off stage and throwing up. So that was comedian Bree Parsons. Thank you so much, Bree, for being on the podcast. And be sure to check out Bree on all of her socials. And you're hilarious. Be sure to check out her show. What is this a show in October, right? That's what.
Yeah, it'll be at
comedy special. That's the word I was looking for. I'm a comedian.
It'll be a comedy special to be filmed at. Most likely, what we're looking into doing right now is the Cotton Club, actually. So that's where we'll be.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've done a show there before. Nice. All right. So, yeah, be on the lookout for Bree Parsons in October for her comedy special. And thank you so much for talking with me. This has been a lovely conversation, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your career. Oh, my God. That seems that's too much. You know what? Have a great rest of the year. I can't predict the whole, that's too much time.
That is too much time.
Thanks so much, Bree.
Thanks.